Good morning, Premier Ford. Ahmed Al-Bayoumi with Polycorner. Premier, I want to put your words back to you. On September 1st, 2021, you called the federal election called by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as, I quote, unnecessary, and you suggested that Mr. Trudeau chose to go to the polls rather than focus on the pandemic. We've seen you liken this tariff war that we're expecting to the emergency that we faced during the pandemic, that you'll need to plunge tens of billions of dollars into our economy. So, Mr. Ford, if Trudeau's snap election in 2021 was unnecessary, why is yours necessary? And if Mr. Trudeau chose to go to the polls rather than focus on the pandemic, would you agree that you've chosen to go to the polls rather than focus on the tariff war?
Well, let's make it very clear. Every single day during this election, I'll still be Premier. Every single day, I'll be talking to our ministers. We'll be getting policies out there. I will be going down as the chair of the Federation, along with all my colleagues, all the premiers, down to Washington on February 11th and 12th to talk to the senators, the Congress people, to make sure we send our story down there. Then I'll be returning again on the 20th, and I'll be meeting with the premiers every single week with the Prime Minister to make sure that we have a retaliation plan, which we do. We have multiple stages of it, but I can assure you one thing, I'm a worker. I'll be working 20 hours a day as we go through this transition with these tariffs. Now, this isn't just going to happen for 30 days. The decisions the people make in the next 30 days will affect themselves, their children, and their grandchildren for the next 20 to 25 years. If you could just imagine this, folks. Imagine Bonnie Crombie or Merritt Stiles sitting across from President Trump negotiating a deal. It would be an absolute disaster. And God help us if that ever happens.
Premier, on another note, I mean, there is a saying that says, don't let a good crisis go to waste. What would you say to people who are looking at this moment right now and saying, Doug Ford is just taking advantage of a crisis?
Well, let me tell the people, whoever say that, obviously don't agree with building transit, building roads and highways, upgrading our healthcare sector, focusing on our education and building new schools. What we do have to do, we have to look inside Canada. We need to make sure that we don't depend on the U.S. As I said during the pandemic, never again will we rely on any country in the world for the N95 mask. If I want to remind everyone, President Trump refused to give us the N95 mask. We built up our own N95 mask. We built up our own supply chain. And I highly recommend the next federal government, let's start building a pipeline out to the West Coast until we can ship our oil anywhere in the world. Start focusing on building a pipeline east until we can ship our oil anywhere in the world. We don't have to rely on the Americans or President Trump that is attacking our livelihood, attacking our businesses. His goal is to take every single business out of Canada and ship it down to the U.S. As I've said before, Canada is not for sale.